Hello, this video is going to go through how to add algebraic fractions. There aren't many questions on subtraction, but the idea is still the same, and it's particularly going to look at algebraic fractions that could appear later on in an exam. So here we have a typical algebraic fraction problem where you're given two fractions to add, and then you're asked to put it in its simplest form and making sure it's written as a single fraction. So as always with fractions, you'd always want to make sure that you've got a common denominator when you're adding or subtracting. Only in this case, because they're algebraic denominators, you're going to have to look at what you can multiply to get them the same. The easiest thing to do is to multiply both denominators together in this case. Sometimes if the denominators are nicer, you might not have to multiply them both together, and you might just be able to affect or manipulate one of the fractions in order to match the other. So in this case, the left-hand fraction, I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by x minus 4, and then the right-hand fraction I'm going to multiply by x plus 4, and this would look something like this, where I've color-coded the new parts which I've added where I've multiplied. So what we can now tell is that both denominators are now the same, and they are the same pair of brackets below each fraction. So what I can now do is, because there's a common denominator, is write this over one fraction, and now I've just got some simplifying left to do. So at this point, if you were in a subtraction problem, you would then have to be more careful with your numerator, because there would be a negative outside the second bracket, and so when you expand you'd have to think about sign changes. But in this case we don't have to worry about that, so we'll just expand the numerators as normal, and then you just want to collect like terms, and this would be the format that you would leave your answer in. Now, most answers that I've seen have left the denominator in this factorized form, and they've not expanded it any further. A number of pupils that I've spoken to have tried to look at ways of simplifying this remaining fraction, sometimes trying too hard to make sure that they write things as simply as possible. Typically in these problems there's not going to be a lot of simplifying that's going to be left to do, so you just have to be very careful when you start looking at trying to simplify further. In this case it doesn't simplify any further, so I'd leave this as my answer. Now there aren't a lot of questions on this around, but there are some ones which are increasingly occurring in the new GCSE where it might be part of an equation to solve. So you do need to be aware that there could be further extension to this work. Hopefully this video has been helpful, just going through some of the basics about how to add algebraic fractions. Thank you.